Another day, another dollar. It's O.T.G. O.T.G, what's up? Overtime grind. I'm O.T.G, your host. Stay down till you come up. Supply the work. O.T.G helps. Go over there, check out, find out about my record label and different people that I work with. Different information. Get a free consultation on how to pretty much do anything. If you're trying to rap, if you're trying to make music, if you're trying to get exposure, if you're trying to get seen in the music business, if you're trying to start a painting business, you're trying to get your LLC, whatever it is, go check out my website, see how I can help you. O.T.G helps. But right now, we're going to get into a little timeline of who Jay Electronica is and where he's from, and honestly why it took him so long to release an album. You know what I mean? I think that's what most people want to know. And I think by today, I was just kind of thinking about it. I had been on Twitter and having some conversation and talking to people, you know, about this album and different things. I think that I kind of figured out why it took him so long to release the music. So let's hop right into it. Alright, so Jay Electronica was born Timothy Thedford on September 19th, 1976. He says in his early life, he was inspired by LL Cool J. He says himself that he started rapping at the age of 10. He was born in the Magnolia Projects in New Orleans. He was a part of the marching band where he played multiple instruments. He left New Orleans in 1995, around 18 years old, where, you know, I think his intention was to move to New York City, but he took a stop in Atlanta. He had got a job working for the Olympics probably in 96. And that's around the time he had got a hold of the 5% Nation and then moved on to the Nation of Islam, and started to take on the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Still moving around New York, Baltimore, Philly. He ended up in Detroit working with Mr. Porter and Jay Dilla. In 2007, he released a mixtape called Style Wars, mostly over Jay Dilla beats. A couple months after that, he dropped Act 1, Eternal Sunshine, The Pledge. You know, it's essentially a 15-minute song with no drums and no beats, just him kind of rapping, but the raps are in a whole nother level raps. It's kind of over a score of Eternal Sunshine and, you know, with clips of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You know, those two things right there, I think Act 1 got a lot of people's attention. A lot of people actually knew him already for his rapping skill. He says himself, once he got to Atlanta and he accepted the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he knew that he wanted to be able to use his music to also talk about Islam and reach a bunch of different people. You know, use the music as the vehicle and Islam as the gas to reach a lot of people and kind of get people familiar and just put people on and use it as a way to kind of spread knowledge of self. So throughout a lot of his music, you could hear different references and different things that a lot of people probably don't get or goes over people's heads. But these two albums in 2007, this mixtape Style Wars, and then the first project, Act 1, Eternal Sunshine, The Pledge, start to garner a lot of attention. You know, at this time he starts working with Puff. You know, at that time Puff was doing a lot of management. Puff was really on his way back. I think he might have been Diddy at this time. He was managing Rick Ross. He was managing a bunch of different guys. He was executive producing albums. So, you know, at this time, working with Jay Electronica might have been the launch of something big for Diddy and Bad Boy. But a bit and war starts to happen. And of course, he ends up signing with Jay-Z. This is the whole Her Twin Breathe text, or not text, but tweet that we got from Diddy. I think he was just disappointed. He really wanted an opportunity to try to push Jay Electronica's music. And then it kind of got quiet, you know. Well, let me rewind. In 2009, he dropped Exhibit A and Exhibit C. And I think this is what kind of got people really going. Because, you know, you got to hear him over some good production. Not saying the other production was bad, but to say this is just Blaze beats. So, you know, and I think this is what got people, it was like the gift and the curse, because these two songs grew so fast, people weren't really hip to the type of rapper that he was and the type of things that he done and the goals that he had with releasing his music. And the kind of visionary he is with how he produces the music and has the albums laid out. So he signs with Roc Nation in 2010. Everybody's excited for Act 2, Patents of Nobility. This is his official debut album. And I think it just gets quiet, you know. I don't think, I know. So, you know, he does a bunch of little quiet features here and there. One of the more notable features start in 2013. He's featured on Suplexes Inside Complexes and Duplexes with Mac Miller. Also in 2013, he's on Big Sean's Control. If you're familiar, you know that's the song where Kendrick disses all the rappers, made Big Sean rewrite his verse. He didn't make Big Sean rewrite his verse, but after Big Sean heard Kendrick's verse, he went back and sharpened up. That created kind of a whirlwind. In 2014, he dropped Better in Tune with Infinite. 2015, Road to Perdition with Jay-Z. 2016, How Great with Chance the Rapper off Coloring Book. 2016, The Curse of Mayweather. And 2017, Letter to Fallon. This whole time, people are wondering, yo, what's up with the music, bro? We out here. The exhibits is knocking. What's up with the music, bro? It's cool, you can rap, we hear you on the features, but what's up with the music, bro? Still no music. You know, and during that time, from then till now, there's a couple clues that let you know why he didn't drop music. So, there's a video floating around the internet of him talking with Benzino while Benzino's beefing with Eminem. And in that video, there's a lot of different things that he says. He talks about a lot of different people. He talks about people behind the scenes who control music. The reason why they control music, or control rap, because rap is one of the biggest, it's just the biggest in the world, the most influential culture in the world. Starts with rap, and it's Black American culture for the most part, and Latino. And there's certain guys who have a specific interest in trying to get into that demographic for advertising reasons. You know, a lot of people think it's in there for these agendas. The agendas are extra credit. The real goal is to reach a demographic who doesn't listen to radio, who doesn't watch TV, who doesn't buy magazines, and they are hard to get your ads to, but have a lot of money and are always spending. So what better way to get control of the thing that everybody likes is music, a specific genre of music, and then pay these artists to dress a certain way, say certain things. So now when you're visually captivated by what you're seeing on the screen or what you're watching in a video, you're also subliminally taking in images, Adidas, Nikes, these shoes, that shoes, a bunch of tattoos, twerking for girls, alternative lifestyles, all kinds of different things are subliminally being pushed in these music videos, and they're being pushed for a reason, because it's advertising. With that, you know, he's kind of talking to Eminem. He's talking to Benzino about Eminem, And, you know, the kind of conversation that he's having, you know, at that time was way worse than trying to have that conversation in 2020. That's for sure. And so with that, I kind of believe that's what slowed up the process of music then. Shortly after that, you know, he kind of gets into a beef with RZA about being from the South and saying NY stole their slang. It became this whole North-South different dichotomy about these rappers, those rappers, and Andre 3000 is this, and these guys are terrible, but it's only so many hip-hop rappers from the South. And essentially, that whole conversation, as he says himself, is what kind of led to the line, because he lives in New York. You know, he lived in New York at the time. He moved to New York to put music out and get into the record labels like a lot of people do in the United States. So it wasn't like he was coming to New York to emulate New York style. It was more or less he had to come to New York if he wanted to be independent and garner the attention of somebody at the labels. You know, fast forward past that, you know, there's a controversy with him and Talib Kweli on Twitter about some remarks that Talib Kweli made about the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. You know, then there's different controversies along the way where people have, you know, people have their feelings of the Nation of Islam. Like I say in other videos and probably more videos to come, you know, and that idea of anti-Semitism, you know, it's kind of, I don't even really know how to get into this, so I'm gonna save that for a later video. But essentially, because it's the nation and because of how the media treats the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, I feel like part of his apprehension in releasing music is that his message has always been his message. And that message is mostly directed to the black man. And he weaves it in and out so he could still have fans. But overall, like when you listen to a written testimony, which was dropped in 2020 this year during the pandemic, I feel like some people can't even get over it or listen to the music because the references are too much. And they're ill-informed and never done research on the nation and not really equipped with saying, okay, that's what works for him and he believes in God, so I'm still going to listen to this music and try and understand what some of this shit is. People just didn't have that mentality. They wanted to slander, you know. There's a whole lot of Jay-Z carried you. There was a whole lot of, oh man, why he have a feature on every song? Why 10 years later did he use Shiny Suit Theory? There's so much negativity based in this album without people really looking at the fact and listening to the bars that are being dropped on this album. He says some pretty monumental things, some eye-opening things, some things that you could use in your everyday lifestyle. And that's part of what the draw is to people, because when you hear him rap, first off, when you see him talk, he stutters and it's kind of bad. But when he raps, you don't hear not one sign of it, you don't see any of it, you wouldn't even know. A lot of people are shocked when they see him have a conversation because they're like, I didn't really even know by the way he raps. You would never know, right? So essentially, I feel like the album both of these albums had too many references about the Nation of Islam, too many references about Islam as a whole, too many references about certain things that would definitely help black people and definitely touch the people who are trying to hear it, and also shows that he's a master at his craft to be able to interlock and interlock and put some of these things inside of a song, inside of music, and get fans who might hate the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, but they're fans of Jay Electronica, so they still end up getting the work even though they're ducking the work, right? I think in 2010, 11, 12, which was the blog era, and people would definitely be dependent on blogs to help push your album and talk about your album. A lot of these blogs wouldn't talk about the album because they would label some of the songs as anti-Semitic, which is, again, is a different conversation. So I think that's why we didn't receive the album for a very long time. And I think each time he got ready to put music out or did put music out, you know, he's such a polarizing guy that people were just, oh, this is trash. Oh, he's never going to come out. Oh, he's got you hyped up. Oh, his album is somewhere where the Chronic 2 is. Oh, it's this, it's that, it's this. And, you know, to an artist who is in tune with the culture and trying to make great music and get recognition, you know, you put these singles out and people love them, but people are polarized by them. You know, for some artists, it could slow up the work. And I think certain things slowed up the work. I think 2020 was the perfect storm. You know, we're all in the house during the pandemic. We can't go anywhere. People are listening to music and streaming music more than ever. People are Googling things and reading things and starting to learn things. You know, we got all types of alternative lifestyles out here that people are fighting for. So I feel like this was a time where he could speak freely and put out an album without having to worry. You know, the only person who had something to say was Peter Rosenberg. But, you know, again, that's another conversation. I feel like he thought that this was the year. This is just the time, you know. This is the time. This is the time to reach people's ears. This is the time to get those fans who've been waiting, get them wet. This is get their taste buds wet. This is the time to warm up and get back in the game. You know, I heard a lot of people say, "Oh, he had Jay-Z on every feature, this, that, and the third." But I don't think people really listen to bars, you know, and some of those songs and different things. If you just listen to what Jay-Z's saying, then you understand why he's on that album and why he felt blessed to work with Jay Electronica and be able to share a project with him. And so, fast forward, Act 2 leaks. That's about 10 years old or 12 years old or something. You know, it's missing Kanye West verses, which I talked about in my review. We don't really want to hear those. No diss to Kanye, but this album is really good. And it truly follows Act 1, which seems like now it would be an intro. And Act 2 might be the body and everything, the storyline. And then Act 3 will probably be the closing. So, to summarize, Jay Electronica is from New Orleans. He's a down south rapper. In Atlanta, he took on and became a part of the Nation of Islam. And he decided at that moment that he would essentially do religious rap. You know, rap with a purpose. You know, and so from then he started having all kinds of different references. And I think between the Benzino video, him being Muslim, and openly proud and saying certain things in his songs, I feel like the pressure started to be too much, and the powers that be who want to push things back, and if they, you know, they control the media, so they can apply pressure that's not even real and kind of slow up the process. So I think what he was doing was just being smart and trying to wait it out. And once we got to 2020, again, like I said, it's the perfect storm. This is time for you to put your music out on your own. This is time for you to get outside and hang flyers. This is time for you to really do some things, because we don't know when we'll have this time again. So I think that in itself, and things have changed and evolved, that is the reason why he put out a written testimony The reason why he had all the features is just he's jumping back in the game, and as an advertiser and advertisement, a lot of people would have never listened if it didn't say Jay-Z's name. It's therapeutic for Jay-Z in a different kind of way. That album was actually pretty good, but again, a lot of people just couldn't get past certain references, and because they haven't studied and learned and got the proper education on certain things, they just run left with it as soon as somebody tells them they're supposed to, or they automatically write something off and take it at face value, when the whole point of rapping is to be able to make you say, what? What'd he say? Kind of frown your face up and listen to it again. That's kind of the goal of rap. And so he had a lot of those bars, but I think he just needed to warm up. And now that he's warmed up, Act 2 drops Patent of Nobility, and the world goes crazy, The world is hyped. The world is ready for that music, and this is the time. This is the time they have time to sit down and listen. This is the time they have time to decipher. They have time. So, essentially, that's what it is. That's what I think why he wasn't putting music out, is because his music is too politically charged for Black Americans, and has all kinds of references and different things inside of it. So I think he was smart to decide to wait until everything kind of changed and his opportunity came back to him, so he never stopped working. And voila, in 2020, you drop an album featuring Jay-Z, and then your album from 10 or 11 years ago drops, and everybody's going crazy. So I think that was it. We're in the time for him to kind of catch his feet underneath him and start to pump out more music at a faster and more consistent pace.